Cool. All right. So today, on this episode of the Fast Performance Podcast, we've got a longtime teammate, good friend of mine, Ranko Stevanovic. Ranko is a professional baseball catcher, most recently playing in the USPBL Independent League. And he's here to just kind of talk about his journey, talk about what we did for his training back in the day, and just kind of talking shop with him. So, Ronco, floor is yours. Feel free to introduce yourself.
How's it going, everybody? Like Liam said, my name is Ranko Stevanovic. Liam and I go back a ways now. Played college baseball together at North Park University. Prior to meeting Liam, I spent 1 year at Triton Junior College after transferring from Southern Illinois Carbondale in the MVC. Yeah, just kind of been been all over the place, one stop shop. But was fortunate enough to land on North Park to finish out my career and meet awesome people like Liam here. And yeah, like Murr said, he's been he's been very influential in my fitness journey as it relates to baseball as well as off the field. In 2020 when everything was kind of all over the place. It was tough to get into weight rooms. It was tough to, actually do your workout regimen. We had come back, and Liam and I had become closer friends following that COVID season. And while I was kind of out of whack, like working out however I could during the pandemic, he kind of came to me and was like, "Hey, I got this program I'd like to write for you, and would love to get your take on it." So I was all aboard. I was like, "Let's do this. Let's try it out." And immediately started seeing results. The one thing that I noticed right off the bat was just the explosiveness that came with the program. My biggest thing, as I mentioned, following the pandemic was not being able to find that explosiveness just because everything you're doing is very stagnant. You can't get into a gym. You're not really sprinting as much, what have you. But yeah, within the first however many weeks it was on the program, I noticed some changes almost right away, and immediately vocalized that to Murr and told him how happy and excited I was about the program. And from then on, we kind of just took off and fell in love with the program each step of the way. And I have no doubt in my mind it made me a better player come season time.
Yeah, well, appreciate that. Yeah, so I think it might have been 2021 actually when I came to you about it. Irregardless, yeah. So basically, kind of what Ronco said. I just kind of saw him doing his own workouts, and if you have the pleasure of knowing him, he's your classic kind of just weight room meathead, loves to be down there and lift heavy weights, but just kind of saw it as an opportunity for him to really get the most out of his body. Obviously, his goals and his aspirations were to play professionally, and so that type of lifting where it was just kind of going in and doing like body part splits or doing basic stuff is great, but it wasn't going to cut it. Obviously, being a professional athlete, you need a custom tailored program to him, and that's kind of really what we did. Got some baseline assessments in terms of like his hip mobility, T spine mobility, some basic strength assessments as well as his speed, and then kind of took that and was able to make him a custom program to, like he said, really kind of help boost his speed, his explosiveness, and his power and his next edge. Um, and I'll certainly be remiss without saying that I'm not going to give myself all the credit here. Um, Obviously, I think Ronk as an athlete is incredibly genetically gifted, and I think he's one of those guys that you can probably give him a lot of things in work, but he really saw a great benefit from the work we did. But I'm not going to be the one to take all the credit for him. He's obviously had a lot of great coaches and experience along the way, but I think it's just a great testament to what happens when you really commit to a program, and you really focus on having a sport specific, baseball specific program in mind for you as an athlete. Um, so I know you kind of touched on it a little bit. What would you say was like the biggest thing that you noticed as far as an improvement in your game? Was it your speed? Was it your your arm strength, power at the plate? What was like the number one thing you noticed that improved?
I'd say no questions asked. I mean, granted, the overall scheme of things, just the strength, the ability to move quickly, all that was all there. But the one thing for sure was just the explosiveness, man. Like I mentioned, I mean, I just found that because of all the stuff we did, with your program, namely, let's say single leg stuff or just some form of explosive, whether it be laterally, whether it be vertically, whatever the case may be. It was just I found that my first step movement and whatever I was doing was just off the charts. Like whether it be, let's say top of ball, ground ball in the infield, or even in a gap, and you got to get to second base. Just that first step out of the box, or even, you know, breaking ball to my glove hand side or arm side, and I really got to just out of the legs push off and go. I just found it was almost effortless getting to that ball. Like I felt like I didn't need to work as hard to get there, and I remember that being like a shock to me because you understand your body, you understand how you move and what, but when you add something, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word, something so drastic in that program that we had into your day to day life, and it just becomes second nature to you. You're in the program 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 1 month, moving on. And next thing you know, you just kind of do this. Like you kind of just move that way because it's now second nature to you. Without question, that first step explosiveness was the thing that I noticed the most. And of course, the strength levels, because leave it to Murr to just kick your butt in there. And before you know it, you got 10 pounds on you of mass that you put on that you didn't have a month ago. So but the first step explosive definitely was the biggest thing that stood out to me, and especially like right now I bounce anywhere between 220 and 225, and I'm moving better at 220, 225 on Murr's program than I was even when I was let's say 210, 215. So being able to throw on that much 10, 15 pounds extra and move better than you did 15 pounds ago, that speaks volumes about the amount of work that Murr puts into those programs and just his understanding of the athletic body and what they're trying to do.
Yeah, no, very well said. I think it's pretty profound too for yourself because obviously, back then when you notice those differences, you were kind of catcher, third base. Now you're a full
Correct.
time catcher. Um, and I think I forget exactly what it was, but you were saying like you swiped something like 8 bags or whatnot, primarily as a catcher, that 1 year, before you got in the USPBL. And, for anyone that knows baseball, like catchers aren't known to be, speedsters or guys that can
Right.
take bags. So even just be able to have that in your back pocket, just really shows kind of the type of athlete that you are, as well as just the work that you put in. I think that's the biggest takeaway is the program wasn't anything groundbreaking. From my perspective, it was, you're sprinting, you're lifting explosively, you're lifting heavy,
Right.
mixing all that stuff together. But I think it's a really testament to the intensity and just the care and the focus that you put into the training. I think that's the biggest take home message for anybody with this is just the power of what you can do when you just fully put your head down and commit to a program, whatever it is. So next question here, obviously, you were fortunate enough to play in the USPBL this last year, which for those of you that don't know is the United Shore League up in Michigan. Just kind of talk about kind of what your experience was there, and obviously you had a pretty good ending there, winning a ring. How did that really, where does that rank in terms of like your career goals or things that you've accomplished as a player? Where does that ring rank?
I definitely say it ranks, if not at the top, definitely near it. You know, we all start playing this game, because we love the game, right? And as time goes on and you start to figure out that you might be okay at this game, your goal now shifts to, man, I could see myself playing this game, for the rest of my life if that's an option. So number one, just the opportunity to play at the professional level was an absolute blessing, and for a team like the Beavers, the team that I played for, management was just the best. When they talk about a player's manager or players managers, absolute prime example. We just had such a healthy environment. Our manager, our coaching staff, everybody just believed in us, and we had a rough patch there to start. We couldn't make ends meet for the most part. We had some seriously good ball games that we ended up falling out of late in the game, or maybe early out of the gate. We just, we're done with 5-0 deficit or what have you. Whatever the case may be, was never like, oh no, sound the alarms, like it's over for us. This is, the end of the season, what have you. We started out slow, and after the All-Star break, we just kept trucking along, and before you know it, we're in the playoffs, and we end up winning a ring after winning 4 straight games, and it was a surreal moment, and it just kind of it was a testament to how we cared about each other. You know, it was a testament to the work and effort that we put in, not just on the field but off. You know, you create these relationships and the camaraderie you have with your guys, and we were in it. You know what I mean? We were in it together, the ups, the downs, the roller coasters, the good days, the bad days, what have you. And it was just always we'll get them tomorrow. We'll get them tomorrow attitude. We'll scrap this one. Tomorrow's a new day. And we just kind of kept building on that and building on that. And then we started making some serious noise and then turning some heads. And people were like, wow, these guys aren't joking around. Like this is going to be a team to beat, you know? And I'll never forget the last 3 games of the season. It was one right after the other. It was just we walked in there not necessarily, you know, expecting to win, but we walked in there and we're like, we're going to win and we're not going to take anything else as an acceptable answer, right? We're going to come in, we're just going to take care of business. And I'll never forget that game one where it was win or go home. It was like the thought of losing or the fear of like, guys, this could be it. It wasn't there. You know what I mean? It was just, we're here to do business. We're going to play the game the way we know how. And we believe that, you know, we were the best team in that moment, right? And that's the way you got to approach it. We got the best guys out there right now, and we're gonna roll those guys out, and we're gonna win a ball game. And we did that, you know, 3, 4 straight times, and thankfully ended up coming on top with the ring. And just such a surreal experience, such an amazing group of guys, amazing coaching staff, and of course, amazing fans. I mean, we couldn't do it without them. They came out and they supported us, and that is something that I have no words for. They were the absolute best. So just fortunate all around, and very excited I got a chance to be a part of that.
Yeah, very well said. For anyone who knows Ronco, that's as about as much of a Ronco answer as he could give there. But we love it. Um, so kind of a two-pronged question here. Being that you've played obviously at multiple levels of baseball, you've played multiple levels collegiate baseball. Now, fortunate enough to be in the professionals. What would you say was the biggest, I guess, catalyst to you reaching this level as an athlete?
Mhm.
So like thinking back from the time that you were in high school to where you are now, what was the biggest thing that you really felt like helped you to see that this was a potential thing to do? And then also with that, what would you say is the biggest difference between even like college ball, you know, your D1, your top level D3, which you know you played that level of multiple all region, all you know, I believe all American player here. So what would you say is the biggest difference between collegiate and pro? So that kind of two-piece question.
Gotcha. Yeah. So your first to answer your first question, the catalyst, I think, and it might be a bland answer that you hear from everybody, but it really is just the love of the game and in that pursuit. You know, I knew in high school, I mean, I knew my whole life that I wanted to play baseball forever, but you know, in high school, it really started to become a possibility, if you will, you know, and it was just the sheer love that I had for the game and just how I felt when I was between those white lines. I didn't want to be anywhere else, you know, and I started realizing as time went on that, hey, like you kind of got a knack for this to some degree, you know, like it's something you love to do. You're okay at it, you know, what have you. But I just kept at it, you know what I mean? And I noticed the biggest jump probably between my sophomore and junior year of high school, where stuff started to kind of get real, and I'm like, oh wow, like this could be something you do, you know? And of course, throughout that whole time, it was never letting your head get too big. I just love the grind of it. I love getting out there every day. I love being with my teammates. I love winning ball games. I love losing ball games with my teammates because I know that the next time we come out, we got a chip on our shoulder and ready to go. And I think that was the beauty of that competition. You know, like you're not going to win every game, but you're certainly not going to lose every game. So you got to find that midpoint where today's a good day, tomorrow might be better or worse, and however it goes, you figure out a way to come back the next day. And yeah, man, I'm a competitor. I love competing, and I'll go to the grave saying that it's the hardest game on God's green earth to play. Whether you're playing in high school or at the professional level, it's challenging, man. And especially these days where there's just unbelievable athletes between those white lines, man. Just things that people have never seen before, and it's just going to continue growing. And it's an amazing thing for our game. But yeah, just it's something I love my whole life, and the relationships I made along the way have helped me tremendously. Just kind of keeping you between the ears, and you know, having that support system. Of course, my family helped out; they were perhaps the biggest supporters, and just kind of taking you to and from. And picking you up when you're down and what have you. But yeah, man, just my sheer love for the game is what drove me to continue doing it, and here we are today. To answer your second question about just the difference of levels, the one thing I noticed the most about professional baseball compared to even when I was at, let's say, the Division One in at SIU was just the pitchers, number one, they don't miss very often. They know what they're doing every single pitch. And those mistake pitches that you might see in high school or college, they still exist, but the stuff is just so overbearing that you may hit it, you may not. You know what I mean? So pitchers can get away with a lot more stuff. And on the contrary, hitters don't miss their pitch very often. And I think it's funny because I think it's a conundrum. Pitchers making a mistake pitch, it doesn't get hit, but the hitters that see the mistake pitch hammering it. But it's that constant tug of war battle there. But yeah, on the offensive side, guys don't miss very often. If you see something middle dead red and it's a heater, guy made a mistake, just threw it over the heart of the plate, that thing's going to get sent a long way. And you can just see in the day-to-day activities of the hitters and pitchers alike is there's a methodical approach to this, right? We're not just out there playing catch or hitting flips or hitting side toss or tee work, what have you. There's a method to the madness every time you step foot on the field, and every guy's thinking about something they need to work on or something they could have done better the previous game or what they want to get better at, and everything they do is calculated. And I think that calculation that goes on during practice really does transfer over to the field, and you can see it in the games. I mean, guys just come out and they're ready to just eat your face off. You know what I mean? And that was the biggest change for sure. I think I've seen between the collegiate level and the professional level.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then I guess kind of piggybacking off that, being that you played at multiple levels of college baseball, I think
Mhm.
there's this connotation of, oh, D1 is D1 and they're just better than everybody else. And while that's certainly true for like your Power Four schools, I think you're an absolute testament to there's ball players at every level. There's guys at every level, and there's certainly guys like you that could have very well played at D1 all the years of your career, and you're at a D3. And so I guess the question I'm trying to ask is like, how much do you think there really truly is a difference between the levels that you've played at? I guess I would say, taking it from the perspective of like, you know, the top D3 guys, top JUCO guys compared to your D1s.
Well, I feel like this is it's a tale as old as time, the comparison between the guy that's at the Division 1 and the guy that's at the Division 3. And I guess a slight segue, but I remember being in high school in my head thinking, all I know is that when I finish high school, if I can find somewhere to play in college, I'll be happy. And after college, if I can find somewhere to play professionally, I'll be happy, right? So that in my mind, that was the trajectory. The only reason the Division 1 stamp made it, or to some degree was important to me at all, was the fact that you always assume, okay, well, if you're going to play professional baseball in college, it's going to be the D1 guys that end up getting picked up, right? But other than that, in my head, it was wherever I end up going to college, I'm going to play my heart out, and whatever happens, happens. Never did I really think about D1, 2, 3, JUCO, and A, whatever it was. I was going to be somewhere, and I just want to play the game for as long as I can and as hard as I can. But I personally, being that I've met a lot of guys from all over college baseball, especially within the league I'm in right now, you have guys who went to mid to high tier Division 1s. You have guys that went junior college, NAIA, small D3s, and the one thing remains the same. Every guy that's there right now doesn't matter where they came from because they're all there right now. You know what I mean? And I wholeheartedly believe that any team can beat any other team on any given day.
Mm-hmm.
If I actually had to give a tangible reason why somebody might be different than somebody else at a D1 or D3, is a similar answer to what I gave about the professional level. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
guys don't miss often.
Yeah.
And, it might sound like a broken record, but at the end of the day, the consistency in your craft really is the difference maker. And I would almost argue, going a little further, not only the consistency in your craft, but the consistency in your response to when your craft isn't working that day. You know, your ability to get your teeth kicked in and then bounce back to go, 0 for 3 with 3 punchies, but then come up big time in the ninth inning. And now you're 1 for 4 and you forget about the 3 punchies because you just won the game on something. The ability to flush the bad and really highlight the plus. You know what I mean? And I saw it firsthand. So many of my teammates, whether it be starting out the game slow or, pitchers kind of trying to find the zone. And before you know it, just right back to it by the second inning, scrap the first one, and we got a whole new ball game. You know what I mean? Just that ability to play the games in your own mind, to calm yourself down, to figure out what you need to worry about and what to completely forget about. I think those are the two biggest things that I noticed that really were that separating factor. And I think that if you were to take a guy from either level, let's say Division I level, and a guy from D3, and the guy at the D1 level is freaking out or something's going on, but the D3 guy knows how to keep himself calm and trust his instinct and trust his craft, you might see the D3 guy take the W in that one. You know what I mean? It's just the constant back and forth.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes the game so beautiful, man. It's like at the end of the day, when you step foot on the line, let's say in the USPBL, nobody's asking whether you played D1 or D2 or D3. They're just asking, hey, who won the ball game today? Hey, that's it. That's all that matters. You know what I mean? And I think that's such an important factor of the game. And I think particularly speaking to the young athletes right now in high school is if I can give you any piece of advice, being that I've been at D1 and D3, is it really really does not matter. If you can go out every day and play the game right, and you can work hard at your craft, and you can become a better player today than you were yesterday, the right eyes will fall on you, and you'll be put in front of the right people. And that's the best advice I can give. If you love the game, that's the only thing that should drive you, not where you end up, not what school you go to. How bad do you love the game? And if you love it enough, keep on doing it. Good things will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a big point is it's not necessarily where you start or where you end up or what letter or name numbers next to your collegiate level, but it's ultimately how all on you and how far you want to take it and
Correct.
how far you can continue to build yourself, refine yourself, and get yourself better um, to achieve those goals. Because I mean, as we know, we've played with a handful of guys at the D3 level who played pro ball as well on both sides of the ball, and they were guys that could probably compete and or beat some D1 guys out there. So
Correct.
I think
Absolutely,
the
man.
point is it's just it's about how much can you just keep getting better and how much can you keep keeping your head in the game too. I mean, I think it's a testament to yourself and obviously being able to keep sticking around and through all the the craziness of the world the past handful of years. I think that's the moral of the story is just keep working hard, keep sticking around, and keep waiting for your opportunities because if you're good, they will find you. You have to advocate for yourself, but if you're good enough, they will eventually find you in a
Absolutely, man.
variety of ways. Um, so, yeah. Well, I know you've got some work to get going here, so we'll wrap up here coming up. Um, I would say going back to the training side of things, obviously, now you know, you work out, at a different location. Obviously, you're back in Illinois. I'm out here in Colorado. Um, so just kind of through your perspective, thinking back to all the different types of training that you did, whether it be in college at the D1 level, the D3 level, JUCO with me, back where you are and currently in Illinois. Um, is there a constant thread or kind of constant like variable that's, you know, been uniform across the board, or is it really kind of changed wherever you've gone?
You know what? It's funny. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, oddly enough, about just our workout program and just how they compare to different workout programs you might find elsewhere. And honestly, I'd say in not so many words, I'd break it down to move X amount of weight as fast as you possibly can. That seems to
Yep.
be the common theme there. And I think it speaks volumes, and I think Murr, it speaks to what we did together, back in 21. And I think I remember it word for word. I remember talking to you about the program and you were asking me about what I like to do, what workouts I prefer, this and that. And I told you word for word, I go, man, I like to lift heavy weight, but I like to move things as fast as I can. Like that
Mhm.
is something that just kind of does something for me, and of course it transfers to my work on the field, but just in general, and I think the one thing too is like just because we're athletes and we train for our craft, right? Be as fast as you can, be explosive. I think that whether you're an athlete or not, just that explosive workout is ideal for anybody. I think just
Mhm.
being able to move properly, move mechanically, have an understanding of your body. And that's another thing too I found is that the explosive work that we did, it kind of uncovered some things for me that I didn't realize were there. Like,
Mhm.
you and I talked a lot about hip mobility and how it works and how it comes into play. And I found I'm like, wow, I love doing this, but I feel, something feels off in X lift or Y lift or whatever the case may be. And then you kind of hammer away at there, like, oh, maybe your hips aren't working as well as they should, or maybe, your ankle mobility could be better. Because you're forcing your body to get to those levels, it's easy to uncover those little knacks.
Mhm.
So it's for me, I got flat feet. So, I get pretty
Mhm.
tight right around the ankle. And ever since I started focusing on, okay, how can I be explosive and just working on plyometrics and just being quick off the ground and
Yep.
hop, 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 everything kind of fell into place and the body's feeling really good, knock on wood. But no, absolutely. And I think the one common thread there is just the ability to move something as fast as you can, whether it be with weight or just your body. How fast can you get off the ground and go? And I think it's been amazing for everybody. I mean, I've seen both professional players as well as college kids and high school kids, all that take to those workout programs, and you can see the strides that everybody makes, and it's just extraordinary. So definitely the common theme there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the old saying goes, strength is never a weakness, right? If you have proper integrity of your ankles, your hips, knees, shoulders, all that, you're going to be in pretty good shape. And yeah, I think to your point, just like training with intent and training with a focus of I'm trying to move this bar as fast as possible, or I'm trying to move this heavy weight, as fast as I can. And obviously that's a floating target there. Or whether it's in your sprints and timing those, trying to get better. I think that's really what it boils down to as far as improving as an athlete is just, making sure that you're training with the utmost intensity and the utmost focus when you're in the weight room or whether you're doing your mobility work, your warm up, whatever it is. I think that's um, kind of an underlying really factor in are you successful or not. And certainly you embody that. Your level of focus is up there with the best of them. And I think that's really also what it takes to be an elite level athlete like yourself. Um, is just that attention to detail, that attention to focus, and being able to lock in on what you need to lock in for that day and execute it with the best that you can give it. Um, what would be wrapping up here? What would be your message to a high schooler or younger college athlete who is aspiring to be in the shoes that you are chasing the professional baseball goal or dream more on the we'll say on the performance or workout strength conditioning side.
I'd say number one, particularly as it relates to performance, both strength and conditioning, is that as painful as it is, and I'm sure so many people have heard it because I've heard it too, is the importance of patience. I think that in a world where we're so technologically advanced, particularly as it relates to working out, whether it be your pressure plates or you got some sort of way to quantify XYZ, what have you, and you compare yourself to somebody else's numbers or what have you. I think the most important thing for a young athlete to realize is that we all are made differently, right? Each guy's got strengths and weaknesses that somebody else might not, you know, and being able to be patient and just trust the process,
Mm-hmm.
it benefits you in so many ways. Number one, when you're patient and you're just committing to the craft, you will ultimately see progress, whether it be a week from now, whether it be 2 weeks from now, what have you. If you beat your 60 time by zero point 0.1 seconds, that's a plus because you just beat a time that you set previously. That's a PR. But number two, that patience aspect, right? That ability to put aside current pleasure for future gain,
Yeah.
that builds you so much up here between the ears, right? Like as an athlete, especially in baseball, right? If you don't know how to manage that stress or manage that failure, you're going to fail in the game. That's just the way it is,
Mhm.
right? Like we all, as crazy as we are, we opted to pick up this game when we were 3 years old, and we wrote it out, and we're like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna play this game, and I'm gonna hate myself for half the time, and I'm gonna love myself the other. But guess what? It's the best game on God's green earth, right? But no, that patience is so important. I've seen so many guys that they, and myself included, to be fair, the periods of time where you're like, man, I feel like I'm hitting these plateaus, and I could be so much more than I am right now, and I just feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, but yet I'm here every day. As soon as you completely rid yourself of that and you think about the small battles, the small victories, that 0.1 seconds I'm talking about, or the squat PR that goes up by 2.5 pounds, whatever the case may be, right? Those are small victories, right? Those are small victories that ultimately lead up to that great big victory being your end goal. And wherever your end goal may be, each guy's different, get stronger, get faster, get less body fat, get bigger, whatever the case may be, right? Having the patience and just trusting it, right? Just think about it like it's a game. Take it a day at a time, have fun with it, and be present. I think that's the most important thing too, is being present. Everybody loves being in the weight room. They love being around their guys. They love messing around. That's what it's all about, right? Like being in the moment, being present, having fun with it, dude. Like the more pressure you put on yourself, the worse it becomes, especially if you're a young athlete who's looking to continue playing the game into college and, hopefully at the professional level. You have to be able to just be patient and just trust it. Trust
Yeah.
the process. If you're in there every day, that's half the battle, if not more. Like you're
Yeah.
there. That's the hardest part. And just keep on doing your thing, and those results will come, and you're going to be ecstatic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing. You hit it right on the head there. I think we're in a world where everything's at your fingertips. Everything is, immediate satisfaction, immediate, see it all the times where people are talking about immediate gains in velocity or immediate gains in strength. And I think while those are certainly tangible and they do happen, I think it's really about the long-term process and about, you know, I mean, how many years did it take you to get from high school to this? I mean, it's probably been like 10 or so years, right? It
Yeah.
takes time and it takes
Yeah.
consistency. And I think that's your two biggest, aside from obviously the specific work you do in your weight room or on the field, it's being consistent with that work and being consistent with going in there every single day and giving it your best effort, whatever that may be for that given day. That translates into larger chances for success. So I think it's very
Correct.
well said, and I think that's a perfect place to kind of end off here. Obviously, again, this is Ranko Stevanovic, current professional baseball player, former teammate of mine. Ranko, it was great to having you on. Always great talking with you, and best of luck this coming year wherever you land, and hopefully you can go get another ring.
Thanks a lot, Liam. Always great to see you, my friend.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too.